Peace, world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. My name is Wood. Jump right into this. I just heard about an interesting analogy for veteran quarterback Cam Newton that was made by Bart Scott, former Jets and Ravens defensive player. Hilarious, but at the same time, kind of sobering. I've mentioned this before, man. It's been very difficult to talk with everybody about sports over the last 10 years, really, in my experience. Actually, maybe 12 to 15 years. One thing that I know to walk away from a sports conversation when I start hearing selfish players or any really most complaints about the salaries of players, how they're compensated, I have to exit the conversation because people kind of get business dumb when it comes to criticizing the players. And I'll sum it up with this so I can get on with this Bart Scott situation. How could you talk about players being overpaid and they play this children's game? How could you say that when there's some owner or ownership that's capable of overpaying either 15 NBA guys, 26 major league players, or 53 football players? I don't know how many hockey guys it is, 18, 19, I don't know. But how much money does that person or group of people have to be making off of a children's game if they can afford to overpay an entire roster of these spoiled athletes? So I really get infuriated that all the angst, is aimed at the player going out here risking their lives to play these games and entertain people. So what's going on here is I just heard earlier on Get Up that Bart Scott either talked to ESPN Mike Greenberg, whether it was on his radio show, or if he did a set on or did a hit on Get Up a couple of months recently, and said that the New England Patriots are going to treat Cam Newton, who's on a 1-year deal with the Patriots. They're going to treat him like a rental car. And I guess he went on to add that they be smoking in there. They leave some McDonald's wrappers on the floor. Drive the car very hard. Just intentionally. That you've rented a car before, and we all know that Cam's base salary for this year is $1.05 million, which is just laughable for an NFL starting quarterback with 10 plus years of experience. I'm sure Cam's he had to have been coming out of Carolina, where he was the face of the franchise. I'm sure he had to have had some years. I wasn't able to check it, but he wasn't able. I'm sure he's coming off of years of like 25 million plus per season, at least 20 million, had to be. We know the upper echelon guys are now, it's two guys at 40 million in Mahomes and Watson. And then you have a string of guys in Russell Wilson, Roethlisberger, Rodgers. Those guys are in the mid 30s, maybe even Drew Brees, unless he restructured. But a couple of guys in the mid to low 30s. Dak Prescott is now in that bunch with the franchise tag. But I just wish somebody would acknowledge that Cam Newton at 31 years old is getting ready to go out here and possibly be ran into the ground. Because that's what in New England, I can't say it's unfortunate. They don't have the weapons. They have the same group of guys basically that they had last year, second-year player N'Keal Harry or whatever is out there. But they get it done as a football team. You saw Brady running quarterback sneaks last year. We saw in week 1, Cam had 15 carries, I think 70-some yards or whatever. And, the question immediately becomes, can he run that much? Can he withstand that type of usage for a 16-game season? And he's a guy who's had multiple surgeries, missed a lot of time the last 2 years with injuries. And no one is saying how courageous or, how manly or whatever. No one's crediting him for subjecting himself to this risk. Now, he can earn up to $7.5 million if he hits some incentives. Something that I wasn't aware of is that they have this acronym, NLTBE, not likely to be exceeded, I think is what it is. Let me make sure. Not likely to be earned. I'm sorry. So this kind of works in Cam's favor because he didn't have those numbers. But it's basically if you didn't throw for 2,500 yards the previous season and you throw for 2,500 yards this season, you get some incentive. $750,000 or $1.2 million. That's how they make it work. So with him not throwing for anything last year, if he, whatever his yardage number, he probably has some incentives at a couple of different thresholds, 1,000 yards, 2,000 yards, 3,000 yards. And like I said, he can earn this $7.5 million, in total earnings. There's also some implications, how it affects the cap for the team, but I'm not going to go into that here. But again, my main thought was that's the reality for Cam Newton, that they will use him however they need to use him to get the victory. Look at Ezekiel Elliott right now. He doesn't even look like the same. He does not look like the same player he was, and he's not even out of his 20s yet. It's some other running backs that we've seen, over the first 2 or 3 years, while they're trying to establish themselves as a all-pro caliber player, and you're getting that high usage, and even all the pieces aren't even there for you to compete and to win and to contend. But individually, you're putting butts in seats, and you have to go out there and perform. And it's just, I don't think there's much thought given to, because Cam Newton could suffer. He could, running the ball at his age, even though he's a big man, 6'5", 260-something pounds, running the ball, double digits per, carries per game this year. He could be taking, he could sustain pain that he'll endure the rest of his life, as he walks away from the sport. So that's crazy that Bart Scott would throw it out there like that, but that is the reality of the situation. He could be used like a cheap rental car. How is that, to be the reality for you as a person, as a man or a woman? Maybe you don't care. Maybe I just thought it was an interesting look at the reality that some of these players face, Again, my name is Wood. Pay me no mind, sports and entertainment. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great.